Hey guys, welcome back to Minecraft The Lost Turtles. Today we're reading chapter 20, which is titled Max's Mom Taught Her Boy Politeness. Starts on page 185 and goes to page 189. If you guys have enjoyed this novel so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Minecraft The Lost Turtles. Without further ado, chapter 20. Max's eyes were dry and burning. He blinked furiously, surprised he didn't hear the lids closing, the sandpaper sliding across the marbles in his skull. How long had he been there? He jumped up. Allie. He had come in here to find help for her, and then ended up on the floor going through his uncle's things. He felt confident he knew where he were to find his uncle now, or at least the general direction. But what about Allie? Cursing the lack of light and not being able to tell how much time had passed, Max got up and stretched. He would feel better if he could take his armor off, if only the chest plate and armored trousers, but they wouldn't budge. He pulled and pulled, shouting angrily as he realized in a panic his uncle had cursed these pieces, just as Max had cursed his own helmet and boots. Now he had a full set of leather armor that he couldn't take off, while his vastly superior diamond armor lay on the ground. Stunned at his own lack of sense, he carefully picked up the diamond armor to take with him. He searched for the remaining chest, picking up whatever potions looked useful, but looking for milk specifically. He finally found some in Nicholas's kitchen area, of course, and got as much as he could carry. With the old armor, the new potions, and the new journals, he dashed from the house, avoided looking at the Endermen, although he did bump into one and say, "Excuse me," outpaced the skeletons and the pigmen in his haste, and ran back across his recently repaired bridge, barely feeling the heat from the lava lake. He crested the hill and kept running, looking for their camp, but slowed when he realized he didn't see any sign of his friends. Had they broken camp and moved on without him? He looked around frantically, wondering how they could have abandoned him. He hadn't been gone that long, had he? He had to admit to himself they didn't know where he had gone either, and possibly they were off looking for him. Still, his plan saved the day. Entrance was ruined now, and that made him grumpy. He ran to the top of the hill to his left for a better vantage point. He spotted her. Then, netherrack had been excavated to build a smaller shelter, and an even smaller person lay inside. It had to be Allie. He ran down the hill, clanking to his cursed boots, heavy pack banging against his body as he ran. Lava gouts burst up from the landscape as he went, and he had to dodge to avoid them. It felt almost like the nether itself didn't want him to get to her. He wondered if the lava could burn the cursed armor off his body, but figured that might be a very bad idea. Might as well cut his arm off because he got a bruise. While Allie had been visible from the hill he had been on, once he reached the ground, she was obscured by some mushroom and smaller hills. He ran around them, worried that losing sight of her would mean losing her all over again. But when the shelter was inside again, he could still see the figure resting inside. Heartened, he tried to run even faster. Now that he was closer, he could see the figure was definitely Allison, and she was resting with her armor beside her. A movement caught his eye. Freya was running on his right, Bunny Biter at her heels, heading for Allie as well. They reached the tent at the same time, and both started breathlessly talking. Max said, "I went back to Nicholas's house to see what he had in there and found a bunch of weapons and armor and two more journals, and I think I know where Nicholas was going. He's looking for a fortress like yours to live in, and I think I know the direction to go in. I lost track of time, but I got a bunch of potions and some milk." At the same time, Freya said, "I found that fortress you saw on the map, and I think that's where Nicholas is going, but it's guarded by a bunch of skeletons. There was a blaze and a few docile pigmen too, and this massive lava fall, but Bunny Biter showed up, and we got through it, but it's too complicated to tell you how. Needless to say, we don't need to feed her for a few days, but we also found a catch of items that included milk." They ended up saying milk at the same time and looked at each other. Startled and annoyed, they started accusing each other of abandoning the other and demanding to know where each had gone. Since neither had heard a word the other had said, then they finally noticed Allie. She was very pale, looking up at them with shadows under her wide eyes. She looked as if she had lost weight already, with the wither sickness wasting away her body. The milk, she asked. Oh, yeah, Max said, fumbling at his pack. He and Freya produced canteens at the same time, and Freya held Allison's head up, while Max poured the milk down her throat. She coughed and spat and drank some more. Then they eased her head back and waited anxiously. How will we know when it works? Max asked, glancing at Freya, who had dropped her easy-going manner. Real worry seized her brow. I don't know. I've never cured with her before, Freya said. I expect she'll tell us. Can't we give her some healing potion and see if she gets worse again? Freya shook her head, but Allison answered for her. That would be a wasted potion. If the milk didn't work, just wait. She closed her eyes and sighed, and after a moment said, "And stop staring at me." Max and Freya exchanged glances again and stood up, walking a few steps away from the shelter to let her rest. Why did you leave? They demanded of each other at the same time. I wanted to find help, they both answered hotly. Yeah, but I really wanted to find help, they said. They lapsed into silence. Max afraid to say anything else she might be able to anticipate. Finally, he said, I'm sorry I lost track of time. And I'm sorry we didn't leave a message for you, Freya said. I was just so worried about her. Yeah, Max finished. I just hope we're not too late. They said in unison again and gave each other weak smiles. So, we both figured out where Uncle Nicholas is probably staying, Max said. If it's the same fortress, yes, but I don't know if he's inside. I think there's a good chance. Freya looked back toward where she had run in from. I just don't get why he left the treehouse. He said the monster spawning drove him away, Max said, digging out a journal and handing it to her. But fortresses spawn all kinds of monsters. He's not going to find anything different in an already created house. There's one thing a fortress may have that's not going to be in any house he creates, Freya said, looking excited. Well, Max said, not wanting to take the bait, but eager to hear the rest. I've heard that some have portals to the overworld. Within, she said. It's possible he's looking for that. Do you think he wants to come home? Max asked. He hadn't wanted to voice his concern, but one very real fear he'd had was finding Nicholas and being unable to convince him to return to the overworld. We won't know until we find him, she said. I think once we find out you're alive, he finds out you're alive, then that might help. Then let's find him, said a voice behind them. They turned and saw Allie there, still looking rough around the edges, but clearly much better. They whooped, and Freya tossed a healing potion to her, which she fumbled and dropped. Just give me a minute, she added, picking up the vial up off the ground and uncorking it. Once I'm back to normal, we'll find him. That wraps up chapter 20. I hope that you guys enjoyed. And if you did, stay tuned for more and hit that like button. I will see you next time.